And I basically just provide people a space for people to express themselves and to hopefully work through some of these traumas you're talking about, so that we can kind of be exposed to them, so that they don't re-trigger us. We don't feel re-triggered all the time like April Fools can do. So yes, hopefully, I guess part of the idea is to work through trauma, but it can be a space for a lot of different things, for just depending on what people are going through and what sort of they need to practice as far as self-expression goes.
Absolutely. And we know intent is not to hurt anybody, but sometimes just because the intent to hurt isn't there, it doesn't mean it isn't hurtful. So let's start with some things, especially in these times. Obviously people have lost loved ones and they have struggled through illness and different things like that. That's a big one, is faking a death or an illness. Can you talk about some of the things that you would counsel your patients through, and why that might not be funny to honestly anybody?
Oh, I see. Yes. Well, I mean, it's these things trigger a traumatic response. These things they take us into a place of safety, and so it kind of greases back into our brainstem. And really, when we want people to laugh, we want them to be kind of more in our higher brain center. So when we kind of trigger a fear response, I think that's sort of when it becomes not so much fun. I think we want our pranks to be sort of lighthearted, funny, and sort of keep us in that playful state rather than a state that's fearful.
Absolutely. And something, maybe not fearful, but can be rather upsetting, is to joke about pregnancy or pregnancy loss. Can you talk about the trauma surrounding that, and, the different emotions that might bring up? Because you never know who is struggling with that. Unfortunately, it can be stigmatized, and a lot of women don't talk about their struggles.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, pregnancy is one of those things that changes your life. It totally changes, and I think that we want our pranks, again, not to necessarily be so shocking and so jarring. And I think that with pregnancy too, there's specific, depending on what women have been through as far as miscarriages, or just as far as what women are going through in terms of struggling with fertility issues, so there's issues with that too. But it's just something that's really jarring is very, again, not really a pranking. We don't want to prank with anything that would be life changing. I guess that would be kind of another good rule or guideline, is to just stay in a playful state.
Absolutely. If you were to have a patient come to you and say, "Hey, this happened. I really want to talk to the person who did this." It could be, somebody close to them. They don't want to upset them in turn by saying, "Hey, I was upset." What is some advice you can give to people about, approaching something that was very hurtful with the intent to maybe be funny?
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, we can let people know that it's not funny. I mean, it didn't have the intended effect. So it's kind of just saying, like, hey, look, I know you had good intentions, but just saying, I didn't like it when you did that. It really wasn't. I mean, again, I think the idea of a prank is to, in a positive sense, is to help us lighten up, or just not take things so seriously, or just to laugh at ourselves maybe sometimes if we know that's a safe place. But I think the other part is to just maybe give them some information on, like I like pranks, but I like surprises. But what can we do? What is a healthy prank look like? And sort of maybe provide that information too, because I think it's one to say, yes, I didn't like what you did. I didn't like what happened. But I also want to say, like, we don't want to take the fun out of April Fools either. And we just want to say, like, how do we kind of recenter it back and just being like, okay, could we do something like this next time? Or could we do something like, us putting a Smartie in my, or in my yes, having some candy that's I don't like, or
Just
something that's
keeping
just
it
more
light.
playful and fun.
Yeah.
Yes, something light.
Yeah.
Something
I
light.
think that's a good takeaway from our conversation, is keeping it light. Nothing traumatic. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone likes a little scare, but when it scares you deeply on the inside rather than just a little shock by coming around the corner, I think we all know and can use our common sense, but people do just need a little bit of a reminder when it comes to April Fool's
Yes.
Day jokes.
Yes. There's definitely a difference between a surprise and a shock. And so it's like we want to be surprised, but not like necessarily like shocked in that traumatic kind of way. But yes, I think in a healthy way, a prank can be sort of that endearing maybe kind of thing of just sort of like, just that life is full of surprises, and that to not necessarily, but they can be positive ones too, or just to kind of change our perception of reality a little bit, or just maybe take something for granted that we took something for granted that we didn't before. So yes, to just stay more in the spirit of April Fools and not get into these kind of spaces where I'm more familiar, which is a very serious space, which is therapy, and try to keep it out of, really, if you would talk to in therapy about it, probably not a good thing to do it as a prank. So